My top 10 favorite horror movie killers. I thought this was a pretty unique countdown. Let's start with it at number 10, the Jeepers Creepers creature. I remember the very first time I saw Jeepers Creepers, I wasn't sure. I didn't know that this was going to be a creature, a monster of some type. I thought when I saw Justin Long and his sister, those two sort of driving back home, and they were almost run off the road by this crazy person in the van, I just thought, okay, we kind of have sort of a Hitcher type premise. Then you come to the point where they're trying to get away. They're in their car, and the creeper is right there in front of them, standing in the highway, and they drive, like, the sister just completely runs him over, and looks like she kills him, until his trench coat finally comes off, and you see his face, and you see that he's not human, and that he has wings, and then he flies around, and that's when I said, holy fuck, this movie went to a whole new, different level of weird and scary, and I didn't know what to expect from this creature after that. At number 9, Hannibal Lector. What more do I need to say about this creepy bastard? Obviously, Anthony Hopkins, who played him in Silence of the Lamb, that's who you initially think of. But I remember first seeing the character in Manhunter, because I took a film class back in high school, and the teacher made us watch this movie, and I originally thought, oh, do I really want to watch this? And I watched it, and I thought it was pretty creepy. Now, he's not the main villain, sure, but the moment with him in the cell, they now have the Hannibal TV show that I tried to watch. I tried to get into that, but I couldn't really get past like 3 episodes. I might give it another shot. Who knows? At number 8, Norman Bates. How can I not have Norman Bates on this list? Whenever I watch Psycho, a classic, I always love how he just comes in and kills off the lead female, and I love the mystery behind not knowing whether it was his mother that did it or if it was somebody else. And then the big reveal at the end, of course, that he dresses up like his mom, that his mom is dead, he stuffed her body, and he pretends to be his mom, that whole double persona thing. It was fascinating. And every time they've tried to continue the story with the second Psycho or the remake, I've always sort of been, especially the remake, I've been really against it. Number 7, Jigsaw from the Saw movies. I thought I'd be remiss to not have Jigsaw on this list because I've always found him one of the most fascinating killers in a horror film because he doesn't think he's a killer. Sure, he'll kidnap people, he'll abduct people, he'll put them in traps and put them in situations where they're probably going to die. But ultimately, he gives them the choice or the chance to try to save themselves. And you could look at some of the traps and say, well, there's no way that person was going to get out of that. But a lot of cases, people do make it out. And he does genuinely, I think, want to see these people become a better person, learn from these mistakes. I love Tobin Bell also. Number 6, Leatherface. And I put Leatherface as number 6 because when he's done right, when this character is done right, he's terrifying. I think back to the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and he's sort of this oversized, overgrown man-child who is just a killing machine, wielding around the chainsaw, the way how the movie ends with him just, it's all he knows. And sure, a lot of the sequels kind of played him up as a comedy character, the second movie, but that 4th film especially had him wearing drag and just, I couldn't take what they did with the character. But then, the remake. And that remake brought him back to being scarier, I thought. I remember seeing that in the theater and being terrified. And it's one of those feelings that I love getting from horror films, and sadly I don't get them as much anymore. But this is one of the last movies where I remember just sitting there and almost not being able to watch what was on screen when Leatherface was chasing after people with the chainsaw through the cornfields and cutting people up. He was scary. At number 5, the Ghostface killer from Scream. Maybe some people would say this is too high for this character to be on the list because it's not one person. It's been a different character every Scream movie. Sure, fine. But I'm mostly, I guess, talking about the first Ghostface from the first film, and then I'll even throw in the fourth one. Because the first movie, I really liked Billy Loomis and Stu as the two killers, just how crazy and fucked up that they were, how they watched one too many horror movies, and how, for the most part, it seemed like they didn't even have a motive. They were just doing this just to fucking do it. And then you get to the fourth film, and it's Sidney's cousin who just wants fame and fortune. So she's willing to stage a whole series of murders and set up this whole situation to where she's the survivor. Because she doesn't want to get a real job. She just wants, she knows she has to survive a tragic event to be famous. You pretty much have to be one of the most fucked up, crazy, psychotic people to pull off this whole Ghostface character. Number 4, Chucky. That doll is so kind of lovable while being scary at the same time. You'll never probably get scarier than the original film and him with Andy and how the mom even doubted her son and his sanity. And the moment when she first realizes that the batteries aren't in the doll, it falls out of the box, and then she's going over to him. She picks him up, and then he first comes alive in front of her, bites her, and curses. It's iconic. Number 3, Michael Myers, The Shape. It's hard to think of another character, villain, who doesn't say anything, doesn't speak. Just his presence, just looking at him terrifies you. It's something about that mask, especially finding out that the mask was made off of a William Shatner shape. I wonder what that says about Shatner's face. But it's creepy, it's scary. And I loved how in the original movie it was pretty much just that he was going after random girls. For what? Just because. Just because he wanted to. He wanted to kill whoever he wanted. Later on, they established that Laurie was his younger sister. Okay, fine. I'd like to stay away from the whole backstory stuff, the thorn, the curse, all of that. I like to pretend like that didn't happen. Number 2, Jason Voorhees, who's another silent but violent character. I've always liked the whole him with the burlap sack for a mask, but the hockey mask is iconic. It's when you think of the character, you think of that hockey mask and the machete. I've always loved Jason. I think I grew up more to his movies. I know his movies more. I've seen them so many times, and as probably more scary as he was alive, I always love watching part 6 when he comes back as a zombie, as over the top as it is, as probably far from reality as the series got by that point. That's when it became fun for me. That's when I started enjoying watching Jason do what he does best, and that's killing teenagers. Why not? Now, for my number 1 favorite horror movie killer of all time, you could probably tell because he hasn't been mentioned yet, Fred Krueger. Or Freddy Krueger. Freddy Krueger he has to be my favorite. Not only because there are aspects of him that are terrifying. Just the idea of a guy who, when he was alive, he would kidnap, murder, and who knows what else worse things he would do to these kids, and how he created that glove with the knives for fingers, and then the parents coming in and burning him alive, and because of that, him coming back as something even more evil. He can come in your dreams. Once you go to sleep, you're basically done. You're dead. You can't fight this guy. He controls the dreams. He controls the reality of what will happen to you. And I always thought that the original movies especially were able to get so creative with that, so creative with the kills. Possibly one of my favorite kills of all time is the Johnny Depp bed scene. Of course, welcome to prime time, bitch. Love that. Freddy is also the most charismatic horror movie killer of all time. He has such great one-liners. Robert Englund has such a great personality to the character, to where even though he's scary, even though I'm not supposed to probably like the character, he does have a likability factor to him. The later sequels, he does become fun to watch, and you sort of get a kick out of just watching Freddy torment some of these kids, as messed up as that sounds. So guys, that's my list for my top 10 favorite horror movie killers of all time. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments below who are some of your favorite horror movie killers. Like, comment, subscribe. Later!